picks and bans. LeBlanc and Thresh, so very targeted here. Getting that out of Hybrid's hands. Some of the bigger champions that we were seeing banned out yesterday, actually a lot of them still available. Kalista, Graves, Lucian, Poppy.
I find this really interesting they banned Thresh, because Hybrid's been playing so much Braum. Like, he's still a good Thresh and everything, but with the amount of emphasis we've seen in previous games on AD carry bans, we were talking yesterday about how Braum does so very well against a lot of AD carries. Taking away one of these pick potential supports from Hybrid, I don't think it's actually going to hinder him too much. I think G2 will look at this and go, okay, well, we've got a lot of options still remaining.
I mean, you got to ask the question, do they want him on Braum?
That's true.
Do they think they can play around it, maybe? Corki's taken away, so there's one left, which means Kalista and Lucian are your two top-tier ADs.
Yeah, at this point, if Kalista gets banned, it's highly likely to be a Lucian first pick here for G2, or they say we can win whatever 2v2 we get in the end of it. So Lucian first pick is not the best pick in the world. This time, G2 say, no, we don't want that. We're going to take our top laner.
So it's going to be the Poppy then locked in. And we've seen that quite a lot more in recent weeks. Lulu locked in here for Wunderwear, or by Wunderwear rather,
yep,
as well as the Lucian for Kobbe. And you know, Kobbe's a guy that actually there was a lot more expectations to help carry Splyce along with Sencux. And while he's not struggled as much as Wunderwear has, now he's got one of these top tier ADCs, and you can see Corki, Kalista off the table. Now is the time for him to step up and shine.
Yeah, that's very true. And Kobbe, we haven't seen anything from. We started seeing a little bit more for him in Challenger last split towards the end, where he was having to clean up fights for the Splyce Line-up back then. And, you know, he started kind of getting there, but it was a lot to do with just a team effort rather than an individual effort. A lot of back and forth from G2 here, deciding whether they want to lock in their mid laner, and I feel like this is the better option. They want to try and wait and see if they can figure out where this Lulu is going to sit.
So let's see where it will be. On the side of Splyce, has not really been played by them this split yet. Sencux has played 6 different champions in the last few games, with only Ahri the repeat. And I just want to highlight Trick very quickly. 2 games on that Graves, 11-0-14. He's yet to give up a death.
Right, and that's what that second rotation to me, it screams from G2. It's like, these are some of our most comfortable champions right now. Trick's been great. We spoke about how Hybrid's been great on Braum. This is the first time that we're gonna, second time we're gonna see Poppy for Kikis in that top lane. Now that Braum's been locked in, we know where that's going. The AD carry now is going to be one of those B-tier AD carries. Ezreal will need time to scale here, and we're waiting for PerkZ mid laner, which is not going to be the Corki, as that's what G2 banned. For any of you wanting to play Corki mid, there's an article now on LoL eSports in the article section highlighting PerkZ specific runes and masteries for Corki, but we're going to see a Viktor instead of Corki in this game.
So I quite like this from G2. They've got a good amount of wave clear, decent enough CC, maybe not the hardest to engage, that's fair. But if a team fight does break out, man, you've got Poppy to reset anything. Although Splyce, they're all about the disengage. Lulu, Janna, Rek'Sai, they're putting a lot of weight here on Kobbe's shoulders. What will Wunderwear be running up at the top? I expect the Lulu to go middle, make that sort of Viktor Lulu lane somewhat farm focused.
I do expect that right now. Put that Lulu in the middle lane. Yes, it doesn't really give Sencux the ability to carry like he did on the LeBlanc that we saw previously, but the actual champion pool that's available for him is fairly small right now, unless he looks for something like an Ahri or something perhaps like this Quinn, which is a flex that we've seen. We've seen Faker play it in the middle lane, we've seen it in the top lane as well, but what you can say for G2 is they're relying fairly heavily on Kikis to be a damage threat here before the Ezreal gets going. It will take time for Kikis. Yes, PerkZ will have damage from Viktor as well as he wave clears in the middle lane. The flex is on with that last pick.
Yeah, it really, really is. Let's see how they handle themselves. Splyce picks and bans, a different flavor to what we've seen out of Splyce. Actually, I think across all of their games, really. With quite a heavy focus around buffing up either Quinn or Lucian, thanks to the Lulu Janna. It's worked for Origin, but it does require a lot of coordination.
Yeah, it has worked for Origin, but it's also failed somewhat for Origin. It was only really that last week when Origin got both the Lulu, the Lucian, and they had the Alistar on top of it, they managed to get themselves into the game. Luckily, though, they have been given a little extra time with this Ezreal, with this Viktor pick, that, you know, they take that 2-3 items to get themselves fully into the game. So Splyce have got an easier way around this, especially with their top half of the map being better in the early game. You've got the Quinn, you've got the Rek'Sai as well.
I'm very interested to see if G2 want to go toe-to-toe here with Kobbe and Nisbeth. Ezreal plus Braum against a Lucian Janna. It does not sound like a lot of fun to me. I want to see how this early lane matchups work out. But you guys at home, will G2 pick up a win here? Hashtag G2 win. They're currently 6-1, tied with H2K. What do you think Splyce will pick one up in return? I think the possibility is there. There's a lot of options that they can do with this team composition, albeit maybe not engage.
Yeah, for now, no real engage coming from the Splyce team. And, you know, we're going to have to see as we load up into the Rift for game 1 of week 4, day 2 of the European LCS.
Yeah, we're exactly 10 games away from the halfway mark. So today and next Thursday, and every team will have competed one rotation of the European LCS here in spring. And for G2, somewhat of a surprise out the gate. They were swinging and hitting very hard all the way from week 1 till presently.
Welcome.
And more impressive, they're doing it in different ways. We're seeing them play split push, we're seeing them play poke, we're seeing them play team fights, we're seeing them fight a lot. Very aggressive.
Wunderwear doesn't know.
No.
He would though.
I wonder why he's up here. This is just going to be an easy kill. Exhaust into the stun. The Vault will put him away, but the knockback from Kikis. 2 tower shots and first blood to Emperor.
Oh, Wunderwear going a little too deep. He even registered that could have been a possibility. If G2 send their duo lane up straight away from the base, you can easily make that push and then punish Wunderwear for just pushing out in the lane. Oh, that's the thing where, you know, it's like, oh, if I just ward this bush, I'll see if they're in there. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Not a good start.
Tough position for Wunderwear. First time on this Quinn as well, and caught out. I mean,
yeah,
the lane swap with the duo up there, that's not a surprise.
No.
So,
but at the same time, that isn't going to happen every game, that they're standing in the bush already by the time you put the ward down. So it's one of those situations where, you know, it's a little unfortunate, but at the same time is punishing Wunderwear for trying to get that extra information here. G2 do use a lot for this. They use 2 flashes and the exhaust, but it's so good that it goes onto Emperor here. That is a really key thing because he's the one that needs the extra time, really. For PerkZ, it's a wave clear game for him, and he can just sit happily mid lane once he's got the Aftershock augment. And for Kikis, he's going to be in an okay situation. He's going to double jungle for the start of it, and then look to make his presence felt in other ways.
You can see some of the different keystones. One of the more varied keystones we're seeing. Some of the changes here in 6.2, we're seeing Thunderlords slowly falling away from like 5-6 every game. And obviously the fervors on all of your auto-attack reliant champions. Trick, last time he's played Graves, the last few times rather, he's been very heavily involved in counter jungling. Obviously he's on the strong side of the map, where he's got Emperor and Hybrid to back him up. But that's something I want to track as the game progresses, because he tends to grab some smalls and build a tent in his opponent's jungle camps.
He does, that's for sure. They're pretty well done if they come out of that shotgun with Graves. Wouldn't really want to have those charred ones, but you can see this tower push from G2 is that pretty much a lot faster, actually. I was looking at the timing of it. G2 have actually got about half the current health difference up on Splyce.
Great to put that first foot forward for G2. So they're ahead in the tempo of the game. And we'll get this tower down shortly. Actually don't think it'll take all that long for Splyce to reply, but it will give Emperor and Hybrid the chance to recall. You can see this Splyce trying to do the same that G2 just performed. Let the tower kill as many minions as possible. But you can already see Emperor's back, Hybrid's back, and they're going to start moving to this bottom lane to catch this wave. Because I don't think all of the minions are going to die. Yeah,
the minions will stick around. Emperor's going to try and get there. It's not going to be anywhere near in time, and even spotting out Trick on a ward, I believe, as Rek'Sai caught him. So that gives Trashy the information. He can very safely stick around, go back, grab his blue. No reason for him to recall yet. He's still got health potions, is still healthy from the early jungle pathing, so no real threat to Trashy in the jungle just yet, as Splyce have evened up the tower, but it is that first blood really that separates these two right now. The overextension from Wunderwear in that top lane. But one thing I want to focus on that isn't going to become prominent for a while is the mid lane matchup. The last time these two lineups faced each other was in week 5 of Challenger Series Summer Split, and PerkZ went off. He destroyed Sencux in the middle lane as Viktor. He went 6-0-7, And these were the two mid laners. When you looked at Challenger Series last split, it was like, these two are the ones that are going to LCS. And PerkZ has done so much better and done so much more consistent work than Sencux has. It's impressive.
Absolutely no doubt there. One of the most impressive rookies during Spring. You see both of the coaches there, back on the left, Yamato on the right. Close eye on their team's performances. G2 already pushing down in that bottom half of the jungle, and as expected, Trick continuing to clear out camps. Is actually a big buff ahead because he's managed to pick up the blue away from Splyce. So I don't think Trashy was able to secure his on the first clear. And again, it's G2 who are somewhat ahead of the tempo. However, these towers will fall in much the same time. Lucian, Janna, and Quinn, they do a lot of work to towers very quickly. They may actually get the kill marginally before. No, it's within seconds. So 600-700 gold. First blood is really all that separates these teams.
The fact that Trick actually got that blue buff is fairly interesting to me, just from the fact that Trashy and the rest of Splyce had pinged out Trick recalling in his own red side jungle. So, I mean, if you see that recall finish, you can kind of get that blue buff, but I'm just interested in seeing exactly how that went for Trashy in that decision-making. Not the worst thing to take away from a Rek'Sai. Blue buff's nice, but it's not critical. So it is just a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, especially for Trick, who really wants to use his full complement of abilities. Way more useful on that jungle Graves. Take a look at the experience and CS differences here. PerkZ has got himself a minor advantage over Sencux, although it looks like Sencux is catching away to the mid lane. Kikis is 18-6 up. Also has a level advantage. As far as the top laners are gone, small advantages here to Kikis. Kind of felt that Poppy might have been integral in picks and bans to helping out G2's chances as this mid-game is getting closer and closer.
The problem on the other side of that is, though, Wunderwear on this Quinn is only at 6 CS, hasn't really been able to keep up. He's actually down over a level of experience on Kikis. So this Quinn isn't getting into the game, so at the same time, it's like Kikis' Poppy is not quite as integral for G2 as we expected.
Well, look at this. Splyce see an opportunity, and they are going to get a 4-man stack in this bottom wave. It'll just be a little bit of damage onto this inner tower, but the wave clear from Trick is enough to clear it, and now there's no one to defend top.
I mean, this is the thing with Graves' jungle, is one of the things it provides that almost no other jungler can right now is that wave clear. He walks up, end of the line, into the wave, clears it, and his duo lane have been pushing top lane. Now Wunderwear has to try and come up to this lane. If this tower drops any lower, you may see G2 just stick around, because they can take this tower without any threat from Wunderwear here. No way can Wunderwear cross into Emperor here without Wunderwear dying. There's an exhaust available for Braum again. Oh, the rest of Splyce are coming up.
Let's find out. Hybrid and Emperor, they're in trouble. Both have flashes available. There's a response from G2. Teleport is coming down into the Tribush, and Nisbeth is the first one to get stunned up. Everybody's jumping in on the fight. Trashy forced to flash away. Sencux gets a Glitter Lance down to Hybrid. Summon a heal will keep him alive a few seconds longer before there's a reply back from Splyce. Now Splyce are on the retreat. It's all of a sudden Trashy that's gone down. 1-for-1. Kikis and PerkZ and Trick, they're chasing down. Collateral damage will not find a kill, but they kill Trashy off. Trade summoners and should get the tower as well.
That's the most optimistic Janna shield on a turret. But, you know, it took so long for Splyce to get up there. Watch out,
Kobbe's looking for PerkZ, will not find the kill. And they get away. So third tower falling in favor of G2.
Yeah, that was just Splyce. They took a little too long, and it allowed G2 to get themselves up to the top side of the map. Hybrid did fall in that engage, though. He already knew he was pretty much a goner, even with the extra heal that came out of Emperor. Good pathing by Kikis, though. Recognize that if he gets onto Trashy and slams him into the wall, you just follow up with the movement blocker and make sure that you can't dash away as Rek'Sai forced Trashy to flash out over the wall and nearly got even more from that fight.
Yeah, very, very powerful from Kikis. Early teleports as well. There was nearly no hesitation for jumping in there and trying to punish. Wunderwear still trying to farm his way up. 21 CS. Down only marginally on gold, but still a little bit behind in experience. Kikis has been helped out here, already trying to zone out Trashy in the jungle as the rest of G2 are pushing quite heavily in this bottom half of the map.
So this was the start of the fight again. You can see Wunderwear is going aggressive, and it basically tells G2 exactly what's going on with this play. Even though they don't have vision, they know that Wunderwear wouldn't go aggressive like that unless the rest of his team were here. So it's pink ward, instant teleport comes out from Kikis. There's the smash into the wall. forcing the flash away. At this point, it's just about repositioning for G2, but PerkZ ends up dropping really low after using his flash and has to back himself out a little bit later, but from here, this is business as usual for G2.
And I just caught a glimpse of how much damage that unbreakable shield from Hybrid blocked.
Yeah.
Both Wunderwear and Kobbe were in front of it, or at the beginning of that fight. So good positioning from Hybrid on Braum, the champion that we were expecting when the Thresh was taken away. Played it 5 times out of the 7 games, and he's won 4 of those. Fans are definitely in favor of G2. Let's see if G2 can pick this blue buff up. Stress, there's the unbreakable shield. True shot barrage. Empress says thank you.
Empress like, well, you're not taking this from me. I'm going to block all your projectiles, and I'm going to ult this with the G2 duo. So, you know, one thing I want to look at is, because the itemization for AP items actually...
Oh, Sencux.
Well, this kind of goes to the point I was about to make. So now that we don't see Frostqueen's Claim anymore, Victors now basically just go for the 2 upgrades on the Hex Core before going for their usual items of either Morellonomicon is what we normally see. You can see on the other side, Sencux opting for that Chalice going towards the Fiends. It's just a lot more efficient now, so you don't have to go for any of those Frostqueen's paths. You can just go straight for those upgrades, wave clear very effectively now, and have the extra movement speed and shield that comes from EQ.
Splyce currently cannot wave clear effectively because Sencux was pushed away.
Yeah.
Tower is going to go down to less than 10% hit points. PerkZ going to look for some damage, and Emperor's still sticking around. Look, there's way more support for G2 coming up. They've already got a 2,000 gold lead, and it looks like they want another outer turret, the last remaining.
Oh man, that is really difficult to deal with if you have Splyce. True Shot Barrage into the laser from PerkZ just clears the way. There's nothing you can do against that this early on. Problem is, Splyce have regrouped around, they've secured vision. You can see top side of mid and bottom side, they've got pink wards around. They've got good control now over this mid lane. The problem is the tower is so low that as soon as G2 sees somebody out of position, if it's Kobbe or Sencux not in that middle lane, they can just walk up and take it. There's almost nothing that Splyce can do to stop that tower going down at some point in the next few minutes of this game.
Yeah, that's going to be even more problematic because of just how far behind they are. Look at all the vision. G2's got 1, 2, 3, 4 pink wards in their inventory. There's a couple of stealth wards, I believe those are, in the blue side jungle of Splyce. So G2 got all the tools they need to push that outer turret down in the middle lane, then set up vision around either the Dragon or the Rift Herald, and just try rinse and repeat, maintain control.
What we need to keep in mind, though, for Splyce is this Lulu Lucian comp with the Quinn on the side lane should end up doing fairly well. As soon as they've all got a couple of items, that's when they can really do a lot more with their composition in the game. That you can see PerkZ doesn't even need the rest of his team, just runs up to mid lane and hits it. The other side of that is G2, because of how well Emperor did in the early game. Yes, he's down in CS, but kind of expect that in this situation, the way Emperor's had to play around the map. Yes, he's a little behind, but he's still getting there. As soon as he gets the second item, the Iceborne Gauntlet, plus the Muramana, he's going to be active in this game. Same with PerkZ.
Yeah, it's also interesting, though, despite the fact he's down 20 CS, he's actually up 800 gold because of the additional towers, because of the kill, the assist. So, you know, G2 have said, you don't need to farm to get power, we'll feed you. Feed you the rubble of Splyce's towers. And Wunderwear, on the other hand, he's still trying to earn some power, farm some power. Get revealed here by those heightened sensors. And G2 again, look just how much they're controlling Splyce's jungle.
And a lot of that added difference from where the towers came from for G2 was that play a little earlier.
Oh no! Nisbeth, he finished it! There's no support! Kobbe's got pinned against the wall. Kikis is going to be able to swing the hammer, knock Kobbe into the air. Defensive flash, followed up by Kikis. I think the hammer shot caught minions though.
Wait, here comes the true shot. No, it's not going to hit. Okay.
No, not this time around. And Kikis was tanking up those minions as well. But Kobbe almost getting taken out by Kikis.
Yeah, Kikis does have to respect the damage from Lucian at this point in the game, though. Even though we're talking about how the composition isn't quite online for Splyce, Lucian still has that early game power. He has the Essence Reaver now completed after he's recalled, but had the components, is able to output a lot of damage there with Trashy around as well. Kikis knew he had to back it up.
Yeah, and then he did. So flash for flash, but Kobbe's the one that might be in trouble. PerkZ gets caught up by the Glitter Lance. Trashy is already flashed forward. Gravity Field will keep Rek'Sai in place, and PerkZ, he's going to be able to get away with his life. The rest of G2 looking to take an inner turret in this bottom lane. Hybrid's moving on the front line. Look at the mini-map. Splyce is starting to flank. Glacial Fissure comes down from Hybrid. He's trying to body block the culling. And Splyce have got a 5-man stack. Teleport's available for Kikis, but he's busy recalling. Trick is going to dash over the wall. He's going to find some support from PerkZ, and the Chaos Storm will come down shortly. There's already a kill. Down onto Trick. It's Trashy that picks it up in the jungle on jungle. Nisbeth gets chunked out, and the kill credit's over to PerkZ. Now Kikis and Hybrid, they're on the front line. Emperor's got mana and health, and he's pushing for more. It's a 2 for 2, and Splyce are running away. Tag onto Trashy. He needs 2 more connections for the stun, and it will not find just yet. But Hybrid, he's now pinged onto Sencux. Arcane Shift should be available for Emperor if he wants to. Uses it with a flash, and they get Sencux for a 3rd.
Really extended fight here for G2, and what really catalyzed the extension of the fight was Trick going over the wall. He basically admits that somebody in this fight is going to die from G2. They are too surrounded to get away with all of their lives. So Trick goes over the wall, tries to find himself funneling Splyce into an area where he can hit the end of the line off and make it explode immediately. He got a good amount of damage down and then ends up falling. This is his first death on Jungle Graves, keep in mind. He buys the time, Kikis manages to teleport in after the recall, and the rest of G2 can follow.
They get the tower as well, Stress. So they got the inner turret down to very, very low. A couple hundred hit points on that one. Now this is the beginning. Look at the minimap as Splyce feel they can flank G2, but Kikis starts the recall in just a moment.
And G2 have had a lot of time to plan this. They've seen all of this coming on wards, and Trick says, okay, I need to drag people down towards PerkZ and hold them here, because if we just put the damage down ahead of time, we can have Hybrid and the rest of the team clean this up at the end of it. It doesn't quite go their way. Both PerkZ and Trick end up falling here. They were looking for a little bit of safety, but the rest of the cavalry comes. Kikis is teleported into this, and now you're trying to run away from a Braum, and Hybrid lands that first Q, follows up with a nice auto attack as well on Sencux, just to get this last passive proc onto Sencux.
And Hybrid's Braum yesterday against Origin was quite game-changing as well. He kept finding targets that the rest of G2 would collapse on, and it just allowed them to accelerate further and further ahead. Now PerkZ, Chaos Storm is still available, throws it down into Trashy's head, but the burrow and the tunnel away will keep Trashy alive. Dragon number 2 fell, and Kikis is going to shove a minion wave into the tower. There's no one from Splyce to defend. Without Sencux or Kobbe, maybe Wunderwear, their wave clear is non-existent. I mean, that's 3 of 5 champions, so obviously that's going to be the case.
Yeah, they don't have enough there to wave clear, but G2 at that point were just going to push up and take that turret anyway. It seems like whenever G2 set their mind on a turret, Splyce are just behind the play. And it's because of the way that G2 are controlling the incoming waves for the most part. The last tower was not really to do with that. It was just the way that it was already pushed up and taken down. But the Graves clearing earlier, the ability for G2 to control side waves with the Ezreal ult as well, means Splyce are never really pressuring out on the map.
Oh, they can't. Yep, Trick has been in the jungle so much. 89 CS to 53. Vision quite deep, actually. If you look at that pink ward in behind Splyce's red buff, it's one of those wards we talked about yesterday with Deficio. And it's not super common. That's only about the 10th time, I believe. So we'll talk about that in a second. Trick is the one that's a little surrounded. He's going to dash away. Collateral damage is available. And he's going to fire that out, I believe, shortly. True Shot Barrage not available for Emperor. Wunderwear do not want to come in from that angle. Kikis looking for an engage over the wall. Heroic charge. Trashy's already gone. Glacial Fissure. Two-man knocker. Kikis has found them, and with the steadfast presence, nobody can get away. There's a pin against the wall for Sencux, and G2 find 2 easy kills.
That looked too easy for G2, as you said. Great play by Kikis, just getting that flash into the instant knockup. No need to charge up the hammer on that one. And G2 are going to set themselves up for the Baron. And all of this...
It's not there yet.
The Baron.
It's too early.
It's too early. It feels like it should be Baron time for G2. This is a massive lead. It's just about 8,000 gold, but all of this catch came from the fact that G2 on the Viktor mid now have added slow potential as well. We'll talk about this as it goes, as this follows on. So PerkZ right now slows Trashy and has him just locked down for so long in this fight. The rest of G2 can get into position and look to follow up. Kikis is about to land that flash ult over the wall. But Trashy just getting slowed time and time again is too difficult to deal with. That's a beautiful matchup. Into steadfast presence as well. Ooh, can't deal with that very effectively, but man, this Viktor, even with going Rally second, which is fairly uncommon, even before any kind of boot upgrade, he still has so much damage on this Viktor. It hasn't dropped his damage at all, but is allowing G2 to follow up on picks very quickly.
And it also helps that Splyce's composition is relatively squishy. Still going for that 2-3 item power spike. Ghostblade only just picked up here for Wunderwear. Essence Reaver is still all that Kobbe's sitting on versus a completed Muramana, plus Iceborne, plus Cutlass, plus Ionian Boots. I mean, it's day and night when it comes to itemization. I'm trying to find the right analogy, but 20 minutes in, you're talking 9,000 goals. And G2 already pushing onto the inhibitor turrets.
They've still got to be careful though when it comes to hybrid stepping up. He is only level 8 right now, so it's not like he's super tanky himself either. But G2 can set up the Baron bait right now. 2 blue trinkets are available for Splyce. The first one will come out any second now, unless they're all going to sit mid lane like they are. The first one was just used. Well, and there's the second.
20 minutes in, G2 start the Baron. They've got the 3rd largest gold lead at 20 minutes we've seen in Spring.
Sencux.
No bite from Winter onto Sencux. Tunnel forward for Trashy. He's now caught in the middle of G2. Kobbe's pulling pressure on the side, but he's just dies. He's gone. There's 2. Triple kill for Emperor. And now Wunderwear, you're too late to the party, and it is over. There's even tower shots for the ace.
G2 are just able to take any fight they want here. It's as if it's child's play for them right now. They're walking around at half health after starting a Baron, and Splyce come in for the fight, and G2 destroy them in the fight just because of how far ahead they are. And this all started from minute 1 with the early kill onto Wunderwear, getting Emperor into the game. Emperor is now 6-0-4 because he just got accelerated into the game far faster. And this kind of ends up highlighting a problem for Splyce. The only champion I feel like Splyce have been able to make work from the top lane in the way it is meant to is the Tahm Kench. They've tried the Rise and have never got to the late game for it to carry. And the Quinn hasn't been working for them either. They can't get into split push. This was the fight. You can see PerkZ at the top side is actually dueling 2 people on his own. Kikis came in, cleaned it up, didn't even need to do too much there. Howard had it covered.
Splyce are completely on different pages. Yeah. Not sure if they want to challenge, not sure if they want to back. They split to different directions. And G2 just punish them every single time. So they got Baron buff now. They've extended their gold lead even further. The gold graph tells the whole story.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there is not even at the beginning, was there extra gold? Nobody got anything before that first kill. So G2 have never been behind in this game at any point. I mean, the only person that even looks remotely behind is just the CS on Emperor, but keep in mind, Emperor is 3,000 gold up individually.
They're even more optimistic than I am, Stray.
No, that's not me being optimistic. That's me saying,
Sencux is going to be in trouble. True Shot is on cooldown, so Emperor can't finish him off. But if you shove Sencux away, the Glitterlance wave clear is such an important tool for holding onto those towers. Kikis, he stuns Wunderwear up, and he knocks him back for the kill. Solo takes Wunderwear out from the tower. The rest of G2, they know Sencux was healing. He's going to be late. Inhibitor will drop in the middle lane. The shortest win time in Spring is 23 minutes and 59 seconds. If G2 keep this push up, they could break their own record, but they're going to play it safe. Going to play it safe and smart.
It's no immortals. So we're after 20 minutes, Trevor.
We are after 20 minutes.
It's still been impressive, though. And keep in mind, this, again, is a team that came out of Challenger last year. Yes, they've had changes. Yeah. They have had changes, but these are the 2 teams that came from Challenger, and you can see the difference between, and the growth between the 2 is night and day. It
really is. PerkZ will be in trouble. Chaos Storm goes down, still alive. 200 hit points, still alive. His gets away with his life. Now Kobbe's the focus. Emperor is tagging him. Arcane shifts aggressively forward for the triple kill. There's 2 targets left. Gonna continue to shut it. It's not gonna be able to be the Quadra, as Trick is the one that shuts down Sencux. Another ace for G2. And they will just about beat their record. It's only gonna be a few seconds slower, but Gamers 2, a flawless week. 2-0 in week 4.
The ace under tower while taking the tower at 24 minutes into a game. an inhib tower nonetheless. G2, man, they are looking almost unstoppable. Almost. They have one blemish on their record.
Yep. Udia? Sorry, H2K.
Yes.
But when you look at the team on stage, ecstatic, great smiles. Let's stay with G2 for a moment because much like the dominant wins yesterday, when you look at a clearly stronger team against a fairly clearly weaker team, how you win games matters. And G2 are showing they can very clearly push their advantage everywhere on the map at any stage.
Yeah, I mean, G2 come out, don't really do anything particularly different when you look at it. Yes, they managed to get everybody top lane for that denying the vision control from Wunderwear, so they were able to capitalize on that. But when it comes to the way they played at the game after that, they went into a fairly standard lane swap.
Yeah.
No real differences, but they send Trick to the bottom lane to defend, and it just works out. They get top tower for it.
Yeah, some tough faces there for Splyce. Yamato. You know, it's tough. It's a difficult situation if you're sitting in the Splyce camp. Because it just feels like what they're trying isn't working.